Hi, my name is Hunter Bradley, and I've been involved in the Mason Stock Show since I was about 7 years old. My favorite part about the stock show is the actual sale and getting to see all the members of the community come out and help us and pay for our future. Also, in doing all this with the stock show, it's led me to my career path in animal science, and I'll see you at the stock show.
Hi, my name is Kimbria. I've been showing since I was 7 years old. I show sheep, and I love that the community comes out and supports us in what we love doing. My dad showed pigs growing up. See you at the Mason Stock Show.
Hi, my name is Regan Evans. I've been showing pigs at the Mason County Livestock Show since I was 7 years old. My favorite part about stock show is the memories that you get to make with all your friends and the experiences you have. See you at the stock show.
My name is Walker Ince. I'm a senior in high school. I've been showing in the Mason County Livestock Show since I was about 5 years old. I've been showing goats. My favorite experience I've had with the livestock show is in about 2nd grade when I was allowed to steal my brother's goat and get reserve in the class. I've been showing goats for most of my life and throughout my brother's life, so I was able to start young, and it was my uncle that brought us into showing. He got us into showing goats, lambs, and chickens, which we went and showed at some of the major shows with. See you at the Mason County Stock Show.
Hello, my name is Emma McCrae. I started off showing pigs when I was about 7 years old. Then I switched to goats in 5th grade, and I have also since then been involved in AgMet contests and the food show. I've really enjoyed all these experiences and have gained a lot of knowledge from all of this. This has really helped and prepared me for college. I'll be going next fall to A&M under Forensic and Investigative Sciences major. See you at the stock show.
Hi, I'm Carlton Schmidt. I've been showing goats in the Mason County Livestock Show since I was 7 years old. One of my favorite things about showing is getting to see all the hard work that we do with the goats pay off in all the shows, and getting to go to all the shows with my friends and get that experience. I plan to go to Texas A&M University and major in agricultural economics and kind of follow through with my agricultural background and family history, and hope to see how that can help me in the future. See you at the Mason Stock Show.
Mic test, check, check. Mic test, check, check. Is that a little better?
Can you hear you?
I can hear me.
If you're ready to go, I'm ready. That's okay. I've got a countdown timer. We're here.
Get us started here in just 1 second. He's looking at his clock too.
Class 1 American Heifers, Class 1 American Heifers.
We're just about ready to start our afternoon's activities. I'd like to welcome everybody here to the cattle show this afternoon. We are celebrating the 100th anniversary of the Mason Livestock Show. What a deal. We're really proud of it. We really think that things have come a long way from 100 years to what we have this facility here today. We'd like to introduce, first of all, your judge for your cattle today, Brandon Morgan. Brandon is from Newcastle, Oklahoma. Brandon is the ag science instructor, has been a teacher for 25 years. Brandon has also served as a county extension agent up here in one of our neighboring counties in Runnels County up at Ballinger for 4 years. Brandon is a graduate of Oklahoma State University, where he was on the livestock judging team. Right now he has 2 daughters that are involved in showing sheep and goats. His wife Tara is here with us. Brandon will be judging all the species that we have this week, and we appreciate having you here with us today, Brandon. Thanks a lot.
And our first class that we're going to go ahead and start off with here is going to be our American Heifers. This is going to be our first class of heifers today. Our first exhibitor is Jackson Price, Keegan Potter, and Hunter Price.
First call, Class 2. First call, Class 2.
While our judge is evaluating the first class of cattle this afternoon, I'd like to recognize a few people that made donations to help support the 2025 Mason County Livestock Show. Our grand champion market steer buckle, donated by Junior and Gigi Duarte. The grand champion market steer banner, donated by Worrell Enterprises. Reserve grand champion market steer buckle, donated by Austin and Sierra Nauman. Reserve grand champion market steer banner is donated by Bert and Gay Nessaloni. The grand champion breeding heifer buckle, donated by James and Diane Esquel. The grand champion breeding heifer banner, donated by Ince Enterprises. The Reserve Grand Champion Breeding Heifer Buckles, donated by 34 Garage. Our Reserve Grand Champion Breeding Heifer Banner, donated by the Martin family. The Champion Junior Cattle Showman, Intermediate Cattle Showman, Senior Cattle Showman, and Overall Champion Cattle Showman Awards, donated by Steve with our Stock Show Secrets. Thanks to these folks. Give them a hand for helping us out this year.
again, we want to thank you guys for joining us. As you can see, we've got our breeding heifers, an American breed. So when you're talking about American breed, we're looking for a little more ear, looking for a little more skin around their brisket and their sheath, probably a little more heat tolerant. And so we put these together to be like breeds, like structure. So they have a little bit chance of competing against each other. We've got Jackson Price as well as Hunter Price. So you got brothers in the ring together for these breeding heifers, and Keegan Potter here in the middle. We've got Mr. Brandon Morgan again. We appreciate him coming down to judge our show. He's doing both days of our show and our grand drive, which we will be doing on the square. So we're happy to have him here with us and happy to have him looking at our heifers and supporting our kiddos. We are here today for a little while. We've got several classes of heifers and steers, so we'd love to see you come down if you have the opportunity to, or hang out with us, and we'll keep you posted.
Well, good afternoon, and I appreciate being back here as we start out our cattle show. And I tell you, it's a good show, a great class to start out with, and I think we have one that enters the ring that certainly commands your attention, and one that you really have to take hold of. The young man's bald-faced red heifer over here, one that you really have to appreciate. Just really balanced, very complete. When you study her from the profile, that heifer is super good in her lines. I love that the way she's made through her shoulder. She's still angular in terms of her build up through her shoulder and the way her knees set in her. She's flexible as she goes off both ends of her skeleton. And yet she's got enough power and body to her, but still looks like a female. She's certainly refined and smooth and flat and angular up front. I think a really good one to start out here in our top pair, in our winner in our class. I think it gets close here between second and third, and I wouldn't argue with you. I think actually we when we study them here, there's little things about each one of them that you might want to combine or they complement each other, for lack of a better term. But I think when it's all said and done, the one that suits me best, we got there for a second, we kind of got out of line, is the young man's heifer over here. A heifer that you appreciate her just in terms of her extension up front. A heifer that's just a little bit better in terms of her balance, and one that I think is made better at the point of her shoulder. She's stronger in her top line. I think a heifer that has a true advantage when you just get on top of her in terms of a pin set and the width all the way through. Ideally, I'd like to change her from the side view, maybe want to drop her, make her more uniform in terms of her depth of body and her flank in relation to her forerib there. But I think a heifer that has the advantage in terms of balance and look still has plenty of power and muscle to go with it. Young lady's heifer there in the middle is going to be third. She's the broodier one of the pair, that's bolder through the center of her body. She's deeper and softer in her flank, but at the same time, I'd like to change that heifer maybe just a touch. In terms of her balance and presence today, she wants to get a little coarser and rougher at the point of her shoulder. I'd like to change her just a notch out of her top of her hip and how it's set in her, but a really nice set of heifers here from top to bottom. Congratulations, all three of these exhibitors.
As that was the only class of American heifers, your reserve champion American is going to be exhibited by Hunter Price, and your champion American will be exhibited by Jackson Price.
So this little guy you're seeing here is Witten Scarpinato. Witten's comes from a family that showed a little bit, and you can tell that he is a little guy working a pretty good-sized heifer. but he does a really good job with these heifers and really enjoys these projects. Looks like he's going to be the only one in our class today. So he'll have a British heifer, so he's got a more British influence calf. And then we're going to follow up with the junior heifer. So we've got a little bit older heifers coming
Single
up next.
entry here in this Hereford class, and one that I really like this heifer and a lot of things about her. One that's just really attractive and has a design of a female. When you study her up through her blade and her neck and her chest there, how it's all tied in. And the heifer that you work back behind there, she's good in the top side of her skeleton, not only in terms of mass and width, when you go down and she's open to the center of her body. A heifer that you'd certainly like to see her when she goes out of motion, she reaches her and steps her track. A heifer that's just a super attractive and yet immature in her kind, and looks like better days are ahead of her. We have a lot of fun with this heifer on down the line. Congratulations, that young man.
That last class of 1 was exhibited by Witten Scarpinto.
All right, so for those of you who know show, you know what we're talking about here, but just to explain it, so Witten was a younger heifer, so he won first place. So then we're going to bring in these next 3 heifers. These are our juniors,
Class of
right?
heifers we're going to have today.
So they're going to be a little bit older than Witten's, but then we're going to come back with an even older heifer by itself. And then we're going to bring back first place for all 3 classes, and we'll work through that group. So right now we have Landry Pilgrim, Quinn Davidson, and Gil Davidson coming in. And so these heifers are between June of 2023 and November of 2023. So they're kind of course, they're like breed, but then they're going to be closer together in age. And then we'll bring back all the first place. Let's take a look at these guys. So we got this little Davidson kiddo, followed by Miss Pilgrim, Miss Landry. And then we've got Gil Davidson coming in here at Gil Davidson coming in here at the end. We'll get these kiddos lined up, get them placed, and see what Mr. Brand and Morgan thinks about these calves. And while Brandon's taking a look, a fun note, I believe all 3 of these babies, it's their first year to raise heifers and show heifers. Some of them might be raising them at home, but they're the first time these kiddos are bringing these heifers to show. See, Judge is going to make these kiddos walk these heifers around that are, several times their size, get them to see all different sides, get them to set up correctly. And just really take a look at them and then put them in the order that he likes them. And again, we'll bring all the first place back in here in a little bit. And we'll put them all up against each other, even though they're different ages, and just kind of get a grand overall on these British breeding heifers.
Very high quality class, and I think when you study these three individuals out here, I think really what separates them to me is when you just study them from a balance standpoint, and one that I think puts it together from just an attractiveness standpoint, and that's the young lady's heifer that leads off. No doubt when you study her up through the front third of her skeleton, the way she's made from her shoulders up into her neck, it certainly excels her contemporaries in this class. And then when you study her, as you move back to the top side, she's one that's really good in her line. She's correct down of her hips. When you study her, you love the angle to her hock, and as she sets it to the surface, and I have her to have that look, still opens up with plenty of power and thickness, a lot of turn to the center of that one's skeleton. She's opened up through her chest, and she leaves you with the same kind of width, and one that puts that together in a very good package. Young man's heifer that's going to be next. I really like this one just from a stoutness standpoint. Heifer that's really big-footed, and a heifer that's stout from that aspect, and a heifer that when you get out on top of her, she's plenty wide there. She may be a set wide through her pins as any of them in class. A heifer that muscle doesn't bother you. I think a heifer in relation to the one that leads off, she just wants to get a little bit shorter up through her front end. She's a little bit coarser and quicker in her shoulder. And a heifer that I think just didn't come in an attractive package, as we see the young lady's heifer that leads off, but a nice heifer in terms of the fundamentals of a cowy look to her that's broody in her kind. A lot of the same thing can be said for the heifer that's going to be here in third. There's a big-bodied heifer that looks like she's ready for pasture. She's in kind of one that's really opened up to the top side there and thick all the way through. A heifer that to me just a little plainer, particularly in her look when you study her from a design standpoint and the way she's made through her neck and her throat lash there. She doesn't tie in quite as neat into her blade as we see some of the ones that go out ahead of her, but a heifer that's big-bodied, much cowy in her look, and certainly sounding up as she goes on her feet and legs. Really good class from top to bottom. Congratulations to these three young individuals.
Results for our third class of breeding heifers. In third place, Gil Davidson. In second place, Quinn Davidson. In first place, class winner, Landry Pilgrim. We have another class of one, our fourth class of breeding heifers, or British senior heifers, exhibited by Jarrett Worrell.
First call, Class 5 exotic heifer calves.
So you can see as Jarrett comes in here, he's definitely got the oldest heifer in the group, heavier. So we wanted to break him off because he's kind of in a class of his own. And so again, we had the youngest, the furthest off as a 1/124 when we had Witten in here earlier.
Class 5 exotic heifer calves. Start lining up.
And now we've got Jarrett Worrell in here with a big older heifer that kind of sits in her own class. But then we'll bring back Jarrett, Landry Pilgrim, and Witten Scarpinato here in a minute and put those guys together and see what Mr. Morgan has to think about them. This class will go pretty quick. We'll pull everybody back in here together shortly and get Jarrett in with these other kiddos and see who takes our grand. Again, this is our British senior heifer, this class here. Our British heifers, breeding heifers overall, will be here right behind.
Certainly doesn't take a lot of time to look at one and to appreciate the quality, and that this one offers really a good heifer in her own right. tonight. One for her age division can certainly stand a lot of competition. That heifer is really, really neat when I look at her from just this standpoint and the way she blends from front to rear. Her shoulders super neat. She's so good in her top line. If you study her down low, she's so perfect in terms of her underline in relation to up high, how parallel she is. A heifer that's got plenty to her in terms of thickness and power. And I think the best thing about her is when you watch that heifer, when she sets herself in motion, she steps her track every time. She plants that back foot where that foot left. And for one to that big and bulky and massive, to have that and still be sound and flexible, that's a unique individual. Congratulations to that young man.
Again, we got Jarrett Worrell winning our British senior heifers in our British breeding heifer category. And we'll bring these other two first place kiddos in and see where we land. All right, so here comes Witten Scarpinato again. He's got a January 1st heifer of 2024. He's going to be our youngest. Following him will be Landry Pilgrim, looking at a November of 2023 heifer, so a little bit bigger, and then you got Jarrett as the biggest heifer. We're going to get them lined up the way Mr. Morgan would like to see them, and we'll get this show started. Keep you posted.
Livestock one, of course, was won by Jarrett Worrell, and now we have all of our first place breeding heifers, or our American and British breeding heifers coming in for their champion and reserve champion awards.
While we're taking a little bit of a break here, while judges taking a look, our grand champion breeding heifer buckle, we want to thank Mr. James and Miss Diane Esquel. Our reserve grand champion breeding heifer buckle, we're looking at 34 Garage. Thank you guys. And that grand champion breeding heifer banner, donated by Ince Enterprises. And the reserve grand champion breeding heifer banner by the Martin family. We really appreciate you guys stepping up and supporting these kiddos and buying their prizes. Also, we want to pay attention. We've got a bunch of parents in here and students and ex-students in here helping us out. It takes a big group of people together to put on this much of a show. So we really appreciate these guys. When you see these guys around the community, make sure you say thank you.
I'd hate to move to Mason County and know that I wanted to show Herefords because the water gets pretty deep. And this English drive here, when you study these three individuals and some of the ones that were in class in the back, it's been really impressive. And when you study these three individuals out here, and yet they're all differences in where they're at in terms of age and maturity. And so I think you have to take that into consideration. I'll briefly tell you again what I think about some of these, and then we'll determine our champion in reserve. This young man's heifer that wins our first class, the youngest one out here, and she looks it. She looks to be immature, where she's at today. But yet when you study that heifer, she's made right in terms of her structural design. That heifer's really good in terms of extension up through the front third of her body. Young man does a really good job of getting that head up and really showing that off. But a heifer that's still great in her lines, a heifer that certainly opens up with some pin width there. She's round through the center of her body and still yet functional. And when you compare her out here, the two out here behind her, is she as blowed open, is she as massive? It's yet to be seen. She's quite a bit back there, but she certainly starts to have the makings of it. I think she's one that's sound, functional, very good balance, a nice show heifer that can be very competitive on down the line. Young lady's heifer that wins our middle class. I really like that one from the attractiveness standpoint. When that one comes in, she hits you really hard. How extended she is up through the front third of her body. Very feminine in her design. Her shoulders laid in are really good, and yet she's still good in her top line, and we talked about that in class, and she's really good on her hip and hind leg. And the posture that she offers to it, she still offers plenty of shape and muscle. If I compare her to the two that's around her, is she as open right behind her forerib there, and maybe is the two, particularly the one behind her? No, and that's maybe some things that I'd change on there in relation, but that's being critical of a very high quality individual. As we talked about the young man's heifer that wins our oldest division, that's the cowy one of the bunch. She's the one that's big and massive and broody in her kind. She's bold in the top side of her skeleton, yet when you study her from behind, she's massive, but yet she still gives you that show ring look, and that's what we need, and that's what we're trying to do. And then I said the most unique thing about her is one to be that big and that bulky and that stout, she still steps her track and lets that back foot down right where her front foot left every time. And I think that's what makes it unique. Really a good set of heifers here in our English division. Very proud to name our Chengmans here out of the oldest class to be champion, young lady out of the second class to be reserved.
Results for our champion British heifer and reserve champion. Our reserve champion British was exhibited by Landry Pilgrim, and our champion was exhibited by Jared Worrell.
All right, guys, now we're going to work into our exotic class. So we've got three classes of exotic heifers. We're going to start here. Let's see who we've got coming in first. I don't see anybody yet, but we're going to get three classes. We're going to do the same drill. The first class, we're going to have three in it. These are all going to be born between January of 24 and March of 2024. And so we'll see kind of a like heifer here. Of course, they can look all different breeds and things, but they're kind of in the same category, same classification. But at least we've got them kind of grouped age-wise to see how they're performing. So,
in our fifth class of breeding heifers, we have our exotic heifer calves. Our first exhibitor is going to be Dominic Boros, Kinsley Atchison, and Lizzie Horster.
And you are seeing them just the way he just said it. This is Mr. Burrows first, Miss Atchison second, and Lizzie Herster third. I know I've seen Miss Atchison in the ring, and I know that this is Lizzie's first time. She's super excited about this heifer. Has been working hard. So we look forward to seeing these kiddos and seeing what Brandon has to say. I was going to say this is a little bit hard, too, for him because he's got to see what these heifers kind of will look like and grow into, right? Kind of see where they're at now and where he thinks they're going. And then we're looking at somebody like Jared's heifer that's finished out and big and stout, and he kind of knows what that heifer is going to become because it is what it's going to become. So it's fun
First
to
call,
listen
Class
to him kind of
6
talk about him and
exotic
see what we're
junior
going to end up being.
heifers. Class 6 exotic junior heifers.
You know, I was joking with these little girls earlier about how these little bitty kids are making these pigs move around these rings, but you want to see some tough kiddos. You take some of these kids and you put them with this heavy of a animal and watch them work them around this ring. They're putting in a lot of hours behind the scenes to get these calves to listen to them and just do what we're doing now. Because if you can imagine, when they first got these heifers, they probably did not want them to be walked around with a halter or setting up and putting their feet where they belong. And so these kids have put a lot of work and energy into it. I am going to take a second to make a quick plug. I do want to thank Kyle and Rachel every year with Jackrabbit Studios coming out here. Kyle's got 3 cameras up in this ring, a camera on me, a camera on the TV that the kiddos are playing with. He's got mics on Judge, mics all over the place. And this guy holds us together and hangs out with us for 2 to 3 days, depending on what we're asking him to do, and just keeps the show going. So we appreciate Kyle and Rachel every year for coming out and hanging out with us. So again, that's Kyle and Rachel at Jackrabbit Studios, and all the work and all the things that we mess up and kick over and pull plugs on and everything else. And these guys keep us plugged in and keep you at home listening and watching. So we appreciate you listening and watching, and we appreciate what Kyle and Rachel do.
Another good class, very competitive here from top to bottom. The young lady's white heifer that leads off. I just think the one to me that it puts together what I think in terms of a female, in terms of what she's made, in terms of her skeletal design, particularly up through her shoulder and her knee. And yet when you study her, she's still open to the center of her body. She's long in the top line, one that's really balanced from an attractiveness standpoint. You set her in motion, ideally you may want to soften her just a little bit on her pasterns. The baby are critical of one that offers a tremendous amount of good. Young man's a stock and legged heifer that's going to be second. A heifer that certainly opens up with plenty of muscle shape, and you really have to appreciate that. A heifer that's still extended up through the front third of her body. She's plenty round through her rib. A heifer to me, I'd like to just stouten her up in terms of her bone and her features. I'd like to open her up and just maybe retract just a notch wider and square off those rear two as she goes in motion. But a heifer that's got some body, some rib shape to her, and still cleans up and neat up through the front end in terms of her femininity and her attractiveness from that standpoint. Young lady's heifer that's going to be third, one that's stout at the ground in terms of her features and her footwork and her bone size. A heifer that's plenty good in terms of length and a skeletal extension from the front third all the way back. A heifer to me that gets a little bit plainer in terms of as she's set through her shoulder. Maybe want to drop her on her flank in relation to her forerib there and just change her from a balance standpoint. But a really nice heifer in her own right. Congratulations to all these kids.
Results for our 5th class of breeding heifers. In 3rd place, Lizzie Herstrom. In 2nd place, Dominic Boros. And in 1st place, class winner, Kinsley Atchison. Our 6th class of breeding heifers has 2 exhibitors in it. First one's going to be Wyatt Davidson and McCall Tenney.
All right, so we are here with the exotic junior heifers. So this is our kind of our middle-aged heifers here. Sorry about that, guys. Speaking of spills and equipment. So we got our middle-aged heifers here. So these heifers are everywhere from January of 2024 to March of 2024, exotic heifers. We got 2 kiddos here. No, I'm sorry. These are October, November of 2023. I apologize. So a little bit bigger. We got Wyatt Davidson here coming across the ring, followed by McCall Tinney. And again, I think both of these babies are putting in their first year. A lot of work with these heifers. Our first year to come show with us. We might have had McCall in here once, but I know Mr. Davidson's here with us for our first time. Again, you got 2 different looking heifers, but of like type, right? So they kind of from the same type. Well put together, well classed, so he can kind of see what these heifers are, where they stand, and then we'll bring everybody back in after we get our older heifer in this next class and see where we start to line them up.
We're going to leave them like they stand. I'm going to lead off with the young man's black heifer over here to my right. I think the heifer to me that just it comes in a little better structured package, one that's certainly looser when you just set her in motion, particularly when you move her out of her hip and hind leg, and the correct posture that she offers to her joints there. From that standpoint, I think she's certainly a big advantage there. And a heifer that doesn't disappoint you just from her basic build, a heifer that's big-bodied, broody in her look. She's set wide through her pins, and still, when you look at her up through the front third of her skeleton, she's still made neat through her shoulders. She's extended from that standpoint. Nice heifer to lead off. Right out the heifer, then going to be second there. That one doesn't disappoint you just in sheer bulk and mass there. Really wide top, really thick-ended. A heifer to me that's pushing on maybe just a notch more condition than I'd deem to be ideal for this set where she's at today. Maybe just like to stouten her up in her features there in terms of her bone and foot size. Maybe just loosen her up out of her hip and hind leg ever so much. But a nice pair here. Congratulations, these 2 young exhibitors.
Our results for our 6th class of breeding heifers. In second place, McCall Tinney, and in first place, Wyatt Davidson. We have another class of 1 coming up for exotic senior heifers. That calf will be exhibited by Kinsley Atchison.
All right, so we got Kinsley coming in. She's got the March of 2023 heifer. So she's got the, of course, the oldest, most mature heifer in this group. Again, you can see, so what we're doing is we are doing breeding heifers. So this is exotic class for breeding heifers. We're trying to find heifers that are going to be good moms is our whole goal here. So we got heifers that we can breed quality bulls that will make just the best mamas we need out there. And so he's judging on feminine characteristics to make good mom cows. So he's going to take a look here at Kinsley, and of course she's going to be our class winner. And then we'll bring back Wyatt Davidson for our kind of middle-aged heifer here. And then I think we've got Kinsley Atchison in first place again on that younger one. And then we'll do our grand draft.
Young lady brings a heifer in, a tremendous amount of quality in this individual. Just start from the ground up and talks about her flexibility and her joints are set in her, and she's certainly sound until she goes. And then when you move up to the center of her body, tremendously good from that standpoint. Really round to the center of her skeleton, bold up from the top side there. She's set wide through her pins. She tracks out correct with some coordination off those rear two. And then as you work your way up to her shoulder and her neck, the one that's still feminine in her look, she looks like a female. Just a really nice heifer here in her own right. Congratulations to that young lady.
Good job, Kinsley. Kinsley will hang out in the ring with us, and we'll bring those other 2 heifers in. We'll get them all lined up. Oh, guys, looking at your screen here, we are going to do our Grand Champion Drive on the Square. So we're going to do that tomorrow at 6 o'clock p.m. We're looking forward to having everybody out there. We'll be right in front of Gatling Gun Saloon and the Odeon Theater, between there and the courthouse. We are going to be with Crockett Keller tomorrow for a happy hour from 4 to 6. If y'all can join us at the Gatling Gun Saloon before our Grand Drive at 6 o'clock, we'd love to have you there. Come out and hang out with us. Again, we are doing this because we are having our 100-year anniversary for our stock show. It's pretty neat that this organization's been around that long, and we're keeping traditions going. So being a tradition of, we've got some really cool old pictures of these stock shows on the square. So we are doing our grand drive back on the square just to kind of to relive special events for our 100-year anniversary. Hope to see you guys there. Again, we got these 3 heifers coming back, of course, all different ages, kind of looking at what they are, what they will be for good breeding mamas. We'll bring these 3 heifers back in, and we'll see what Mr. Brandon has to say. And one more while we wait, guys. It looks like after the heifers today, we've got our cattle show, and then we're going to do our cattle showmanship. So the guys are going to bring the steers, and after our heifers, we'll have the steers. We're going to get all of our heifers and steers done today. This afternoon, after the cattle showmanship, we're going to do our fastest torch contest. I know some of you guys are into that, would want to come join us, so make sure you come up here and take a look at that. It is fun to watch. It won't be on the video, so make sure you get up here if you can. But we are having our fastest torch contest 30 minutes after the show. And honestly, we're probably about halfway through the show. We'd love to see you guys up here if you can make it. Tomorrow, we're going to weigh in our sheep and goats in the morning at 8 and 8:30. Get them all in and get them weighed and get them in order. And then we'll start our sheep show at 10 o'clock. And then shortly after our sheep show, we will go straight into our goats. So we'd hope to see you up here anytime tomorrow after 10 o'clock. Come take a look. And then 6 o'clock, we're going to be, of course, out the square. So make sure to join us up at the square. We will take a look here. We've got Jarrett Worrell showing one for Kinsley Atchison, of course, her youngest heifer. And then Kinsley's here on the end with her oldest heifer. And in the middle, we've got Mr. Wyatt Davidson that we're going to take a look and see what Mr. Brandon thinks about these 3 heifers and which one he'll put in first place for our exotic breeding heifers. You can tell these babies, they practice a lot, but these heifers start to get tired on them. They're ready to go back to their pen, get some grain and get some hay and lay up. So these kids have to work hard to keep these guys paying attention and showing right. They're trying to show off every side, and the judge is looking at all these different characteristics to see who he thinks is going to be the strongest in a breeding heifer.
as we get in here and select our champion and reserve in our exotic division. Three heifers that offer a lot of good. They're all certainly made a little bit differing in kind, and so and again, like we talked about in the other divisions, you know, where we're at in terms of age and maturity certainly plays in to make a factor here. But I think when it's all said and done, I think when you really look at them and talk about one that is sound and functional and still looks like a female, but yet you have that show ring look, but still going to work out in the pasture, the one that suits me the best, going to be the young lady's heifer that wins our last division there, our last class. She'll be a champion. We're going to follow up the youngest heifer on the other end for a reserve. Congratulations to those.
So again, just to recap, Kinsley Atchison with her oldest heifer in this ring wins first place, and her youngest heifer in this ring wins second place that Jared Royale is holding right now. Congratulations, Kinsley, and good job to all these kiddos and the Davidsons and all the newbies coming out here to participate. So next, after this, we are going to be doing our market steers. So we'll keep you posted here in just 1 second.
And champion exotic was also exhibited by Kinsley Atchison in the heavy class. Congratulations.
What we have now is we're bringing in all of the class winners for the judge to evaluate the heifers here, and then the grand champion heifer will be picked tomorrow night on the square.
Okay, good. So we've got Jackson Price. So he's coming in with his first place overall American heifer. And then we've got Jarrett Worrell coming in with his British breed heifer, first place overall. And Kinsley Atchison with her first place exotic heifer. We'll put these guys up against each other now to see who does our overall. We will not know who wins today in this ring. Of course, the judge is here and he's making good decisions and he sees these kids fitted to the T. And we're going to bring these three kiddos out tomorrow on the square at 6 o'clock. Judge will be back here with us and he will make the decision there on the square for all of our grand champion swine, goat, sheep, heifers, and steers. So we'll just kind of watch Mr. Morgan here pick these guys apart in his mind. He's going to make some mental notes and he's going to bring it back to us tomorrow in front of Gatling Gun Saloon after our little 4 to 6 happy hour to do our 6 o'clock grand drive on the square.
While our judge is evaluating these heifers for the grand champion selection tomorrow afternoon, I'd like to remind you that here just shortly we will start our steer show, our market steer show. To give you a little bit of heads up on the schedule, tomorrow the sheep arrive and weigh in from 8 to 8:30. We begin the sheep show. Immediately following the sheep show, we have the sheep showmanship. And then immediately following the showmanship, we have the goat show. And then following that will be the goat showmanship. And then tomorrow evening will be the grand champion drive on the square in front of Mason Bank. Pardon me, that'll be in front of Commercial Bank.
I know that tomorrow evening we get to select our champion, so I'll just keep my comments brief. I tell you that it's been a very impressive heifer show where your numbers haven't been huge. Quality has certainly made up for it, and I can tell you that it looks like some of these females that will go on and be very, very competitive and see some standing in the same spots at the next level or a bigger venue. And so compliments to you kiddos and whoever is helping them putting these things together. A job well done. The kids have been great, very, very courteous. Their showmanship skills are on top of the world there. Just a tremendous set of group here. Let's congratulate these exhibitors with their breed champions in the ring, and we'll see you guys tomorrow evening.
All right, again, just a big congratulations, because you have to come out to the square or join us on Facebook and YouTube tomorrow to see who wins out of these overall drive for our heifers. So make sure that you tune back in tomorrow night, or please, 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 if you can and are able, join us on the square for a 100-year celebration by doing our grand drive out there on the square. All right, now we're shifting gears. Now, of course, we've still got Mr. Brandon Morgan hanging out with us today. He's going to be taking our steers next. So we're going to start with a similar situation here. We've got our exotic steers first, and we're going to have them broken into 2 big classes. We've got 5 kiddos on this first class and 3 in the second class. We've got them based on weight. These steers are going to different places after this show, right? Some people will be showing in Kerrville. Some people are going on to different majors, several months from now, throughout the next several months. So you got these guys at all different ages. So we're starting with an 808-pound steer all the way up to an 1,130-pound steer. As we get these guys in here, I'll call out their weights and these babies' names, and we can get a better idea of what we're working with. All right, so on the end here, you've got Hunter Price. I apologize, I did not have the sheet with my weights on here. But you got Hunter Price on the end there with that black calf, the black steer. In the middle there, we've got Miss Pilgrim with more of a Hereford-looking steer, and then Miss Kinsley here on the end with this white calf. We will get these guys out here showed up. These are going to be our lightest weight steers in this division, and then we'll see what Judge has to say.
As we finish up our heifer show, again, congratulations to these exhibitors here with their reserve champions. Wish you the best of luck tomorrow evening. Congratulations.
Guys, I'm sorry. I'm over here looking at my paperwork, not paying attention. That was our reserve heifers, of course. So
First call for market steers.
tomorrow
Class 1.
they will
First
be
call for market steers,
doing these.
Class 4.
That'll be the reserve champion heifers that'll be on the square tomorrow as well. So he did all the all the first places. That's all the second places. They'll bring them all back out tomorrow. First place gets picked. The second place will pull in the hole, and those are our heifers that'll be on the square tomorrow. We're going to get started on our steers now. Makes more sense looking at my paperwork. Got confused there. We are going to do our exotic steers.
Sophie Allsweed with the steer weighing 1,095 pounds. Davis Johnson, the steer weighing 1,120 pounds. And Tori Tinney exhibiting a steer weighing 1,130 pounds.
Whatever it is you wrangle, whatever seeds you sow, no matter what you nurture or what you choose to grow, at Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, we're proud to protect all Texans.
Market steer banner by Worrell Enterprises. We've got the Reserve Grand Champion Market Steer buckle by Austin Sierra Newman, and our Reserve Grand Champion Market Steer banner by Bert and Gay Neslony. Again, guys, we really appreciate you. And then take a look around this ring and this ring help and all the people that help put the show together. It takes a lot of energy and staff to make this thing happen. So we appreciate all these guys that are here.
Welcome to Fredonia Peanut Company, located just north of Mason on 386. Come out and see us. We have blinds, feeders, bulk and bag feed, corn and food. Talk to us about delivery. We also specialize in fertilizer, herbicides, and custom application. Give us a call on 325-429-6211. That number again, 325-429-6211. Fredonia Peanut Company. Let the best in the business work for you.
While we're burning a little bit of time here, let's go to Friday. So on Friday we'll be back up here. We've got food nutrition interviews. So our kiddos come up and do some food projects. They do interviews and then they get to sell their project at a little marketplace we have here on Friday. The Ag Mechanics show is at 9 o'clock a.m. We've had a lot of kids working hard on some projects. I'll have the projects all in the building and around the building on Friday for you to take a look at. Some of them are already here, and then they'll sell those projects here. Some of the guys will sell the projects that aren't moving on past this county. So you can come up here and bid on the projects. There's some neat stuff, guys. Buyer's reception. We look forward to seeing everybody at 4 o'clock on Friday for the reception and the general store. So you can come bid on these kids' projects and hang out with us a little bit before we start our sale. All right. So walking in the ring now. We've got Kinsley Atchison showing for Lainey Johnson. And then we've got Lainey Johnson on her steer. Sophia Allsweed is walking in the ring now, followed by Davis Johnson. And then we got Miss Torin Tinney coming in the ring right now with the all red calf. So this again, so the one that Miss Kinsley, I need to make sure I'm right on these, but the two Johnson calves are 808 pounds and 1,040 pounds. Sophia's got a steer weighing 195 pounds. Davis Johnson is 1,120 pounds, and Torin Tinney is 1,130
First call,
pounds.
market steers,
Kind of puts
class
you
2.
at where they're at in their growth process. All going to different shows from here. And so Mr. Brandon Morgan is going to take a look at these steers and start to walk them around a little bit more and then put them in his order. We'll see what takes first place.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah. We're just trying to make more room for the fast here.
So Mr. Morgan's here is making them move around. He likes to, or he's been speaking to some about the way they track, the way they move. As they get bigger, he doesn't want them to be real stiff and stove up. He wants them to be fluid. So he's going to have these guys move these steers around so he can kind of get a better idea of how they're doing structurally, how they move. So he's asked for a few laps, especially for a bigger class like this.
I know there's a lot of you guys that's watching the ball game around here, and you kind of have the same sentiments as we do in Oklahoma. I'm sure that you feel about Texas. You probably root against about anybody that they're playing, and I can tell you there's only one time that I'll ever root for Texas, and that's when they play OU. I have the same sentiments about it, so I know that you're rooting for that Big 12 team to win. Probably you'd never thought you'd do that, but I don't know what's going to happen, but I can tell you if I'd have bet the paycheck today, I'd have lost it. So my kudos. I hope Arizona State does pull it out. But as we come in here and we talk about our steer class and what we see, I think we got a nice set from top to bottom. And the young lady steer that comes in and leads off our class, he just won it. To me, he just come ready to win this division, and just in terms of his presence and his build, that's one that's super attractive from the side. That one that when you get down on top of him, he is the most explosive up to the top side of his skeleton, just in terms of shape and sheer mass. Explodes out into a great big hip, and a steer that's just really neat from the side. I'll be the first one to tell you he's a little bit more upright and vertical through his shoulder and his knee than probably what I deem to be ideal, but I think he's acceptable, and I think he's there on the borderline. But man, he's got some unique parts to go with that. A nice steer to lead off. Young lady's kept that's going to be second there. He's one that's in his working clothes. He's not clipped down, and he's probably she's saving that for a later day. But for what you have underneath that steers, there's a lot of meat and potatoes underneath that steer. There's a lot of quality. When you get on top of him and you just evaluate sheer muscle shape, he's got a great big square hip in him. He comes back for it really wide and square, and the widest part on him is the top part of that hip, and he carries it down deep into a great big hip and stifle. That steer is sound and functional as he goes on his feet and legs. Certainly none of them in here are really ready in terms of a market steer, and he's certainly got some days to go before he hits that mature pattern. But I think he's one that's very basic in his build. He's good in terms of his body shape and his body type. He's sound and functional. Maybe doesn't have some of the bells and whistles that we see that our class winner does, but that's a nice steer to stand second. A lot of that can be said for the young man steer that's third. That's another one that's big time in terms of his shape through the center of his body, and he's wide top, he's thick ended. A steer that's probably just a nickel longer body than what you deem to be ideal. And then with that, he wants to break in his top line just a little bit and just get a little easier there for me. I think when you compare that steer to the two ahead of him, when you study him down low into the lower part of his hip, and as he goes down through his base width and carries it away from you, I think he's one that tracks the nearest of these initial three. He's given up a little bit more shoulder than probably the two as well that goes ahead of him. That steer's pretty good in terms of his build, his thickness, his shape up high, has a good shape out to the top of his hip. No doubt the heaviest muscle one stands at fourth, and it's hardly time to say that you stand the heaviest muscle in class fourth, but he is the heaviest muscle. He's the biggest top, biggest ended one. He's really wide and bold all the way through, but the sad part is that it just kind of works to his detriment. That steer just kind of labors a little bit in terms of his structural design here today. I think one that just gets a little bit outside of himself at times and that's not comfortable on either end of his skeleton. I just like to relax him from a structure standpoint to go along with that power, that muscle, and that dimension, and then he certainly can be more competitive in this class. The shorthorn steer that's going to end up here in fifth, a good design steer that's made good in his lines. That steer's extended through the front third of his skeleton, and he's still functional as he goes. That steer gives up the most in terms of internal dimension. He's offers the least amount of integrity in terms of rib shape and through the center of his body. He flattens up the most through his stifle as well, but one that's attractive from the side. Congratulations on a really good class in our first class of steers.
Thank you, Judge Morgan. And by the way, you folks out there are watching the steer show and they're watching your phones too right now. It's 31-31 in the first overtime. 37-31. Oh, my Aggie here next to me said it's 37-31 in Texas. Will's keeping up with it. He's not going to miss anything. Placing in our first class of market steers, placing fifth, Laney Johnson. Fourth place, exhibited by Torrin Tenney. Third place steer, exhibited by Davis Johnson. Second place animal, owned by Laney Johnson. And the first place class winner, exhibited by Sophia Allsweet.
All right, so now we've got our heavier ones. So with this next class of kiddos, and we'll call them as they come in, but that's going to be from 1,180
Will
pounds
says
to
if you don't have a phone, it's
1,540.
now 31-39, Texas.
So first in the ring, Sophie Allsweed, she's got a steer that's 1,180 pounds. Next, we got Camille
Exhibitors
Walker
in our
walking
second
in.
class of market.
Her steer is going to be weighing 1,215 pounds. And then Della's following here in the rear at 1,540 pounds. So we'll see that we're about a 400-pound difference here on these steers. And we've got Sophia Allschwede, Camille Walker, and Della Osborne. Again, we got our second class of British steers here. Our heavier weights. We'll see who takes first in this class, and then we'll come back with Sophie Allschwede in our grand drive for our British steers. Next, we'll have the AOB steers. We'll see what Mr. Morgan decides on this class. While we wait here again, let's go through our steer buckles and banners. Our Grand Champion Market Steer buckle is donated by Junior and Gigi Duarte. Grand Champion Market Steer banner by Worrell Enterprises. Thank you, guys. Our Reserve Grand Champion Market Steer buckle, Austin and Sierra Newman. And our Reserve Grand Champion Market Steer banner, Bert and Gay Nesloni. Again, thank you guys for supporting these kiddos. Thank you for the ring help. Thank you for Jackrabbit Studios, and every year the improved video that you guys get to have. For those of you who can't make it up here, we give all these guys a big thank you. And again, Mr. Morgan places these guys from the bottom to the top. So it looks like we got Camille Walker in third place, Sophie Allschwede in second, and Della Osborne taking first in this class. We'll see what Judge has to say.
Another very good class, and I think a class that lines up pretty easy in my mind, just in terms of what we have out here. And I think the one that wins off, you can certainly see he should catch your attention when he comes in the ring. Just in terms of his massiveness, his power. That one is so robust up high in terms of width of top. He's really round to the center of his skeleton. He maintains that thickness and that advantage when you get in right behind him. You look at him from the side to go along with it, and he's still made right in terms of his balance. He's good in his lines. His underline is good. A steer, if you're going to be critical of, he wants to get a little bit vertical and a little bit straighter up through that knee at times, but I think he's still flexible as he goes, handles it well. A nice steer to lead off. The steer that's going to be second, kind of one that's certainly not as mature there today and maybe a little more set further back, but that's a good steer in his own right. It steers sound on his feet and legs. That steer's good in terms of his set to his hock, and he's got a really good posture on his hind leg. I like the shape of muscle in that one up to the top side of his skeleton. He wants to play out just a little bit as you study him at the lower part of his hip. Maybe not quite as wide and powerful in terms of stifle to stifle as you see the young lady steer that leads off, but that steer's sound and functional. He's good bodied, just maybe not, again, maybe the bells and whistles, kind of like what we saw in the last class. Same thing here in this one. Young man steer that's going to, or young lady steer, excuse me, that's going to be third. Another steer that's really practical in his kind. That steer's big-footed and he's heavy bone. He's shown that's rugged. That steer's sound as he goes. He's got good angle to his shoulder. He's recessed in his knee, and he certainly moves around with some flexibility off those rear two. He's a steer that's probably the furthest back where he needs to be today, just in terms of development and shape of muscle. Gets a little bit drier and splattered through the center of that skeleton there through his forerib. Not quite the shape down low, but a nice kind of steer here. Maybe wants to get a little rounder up through his shoulder and his front end more than I deem to be ideal, but a really nice class from top to bottom. Congratulations to these exhibitors.
Again, we want to congratulate. We got Camille Walker in third place, Sophie Allschwede in second, Della Osborne with first place, and we're going to have Della with her first place steer and Sophie Allschwede with her first place steer come back for our overall first place on our British steer class. Again, guys, if you guys can make it up here, we're going to have the fastest torch contest today, this afternoon, about 30 minutes after this cattle show. Of course, after we finish heifers and steers, we are going to be doing the showmanship. Showmanship's a fun thing we do with each species, just to see how the kiddos are doing showing. So we take all the animal aspect out of it and just do the showmanship. That'll, of course, follow our show, and then we'll do the fastest torch contest after that. Again, tomorrow, sheeps arrive at 8 o'clock. They'll get weighed in. After that, we'll have the goats arriving and weighing in at 8:30. Sheep shows at 10 o'clock, and then the goats will follow immediately after that. And then at 6 o'clock, we'll be on the square tomorrow to do all the grand drives. See, Kyle's got some cool old pictures we might see here in a little bit of that original, some of these old stock shows we had on our square. Again, we've got the two first place coming back for overall. We'll have Sophie and Della back in here shortly.
Tell you this, you might throw me out in the building. I went to school at Texas. Texas. Houston.
Exhibitors in the ring now, exhibiting for our champion British steer. We have Sophie Allschwede and Della Osborne.
All right, guys, in the ring, we've got our 2 first place. So we got Della and we've got Miss Allschwede. And when you see in the corner, we've got our second places. So if when our first place wins, I'll pull the second in to see who the second overall is for our British steers. And I do want to apologize. Earlier, I said that Wyatt Davidson had never shown before. This is actually his 4th heifer. I apologize. The heifer's first time showing here, of course, for that one heifer, but he's shown 4 times. So I stand corrected on that guy. I'm behind.
We're here in our English division selecting a champion in reserve, and we bring our first and seconds out, and certainly I'm very proud of them and what they offer, and certainly there's some differences in kind down here. More importantly, there's a lot of differences in weight and performance, and maybe are seeking an end point and a maturity standpoint, and so certainly comes into some give and take. I think really when you said and done, you take these 2 steers here on the front line, our class winners, and I think there's the ones that really come into contention for our champion in reserve spot, taking nothing away from the ones in second. I see these calves a little bit differing in kind. The lighter weight steers, one is really wild out there from a balance standpoint, extremely neat and intriguing up through his neck and his shoulder there. One that still offers good shape of muscle. As we talk to him, maybe he's a little bit more vertical up front, but he still handles it well in terms of some flexibility and some reach there. Then you talk about the young lady steer that wins that last class, tremendously powerful from that standpoint, bold and open through the top side of his skeleton, really, really thick when you get in and go behind. He's powerful to the center of his skeleton. As you watch him move around here, he's a little more timid maybe than when he initially came into the ring. He slipped a while ago, but I watched him go, and I think he's just being kind of cautious and a little bit timid about that. But I think your feet and legs, we talked about it, he's plenty good on his rear too. Maybe he's one that gets a little bit straighter through his knee. But I guess when it's said and done, one that's really market ready today and there, and just really, really powerful from that standpoint, and then a high quality one that easily fits into reserve. Heavyweight's going to be our champion. Young ladies lightweight will be reserved. Congratulations.
Reserve champion British steer exhibited by Sophia Allschwede, and the champion British steer exhibited by Della Osborne.
All right, guys, now we're moving to our lightweight AOB steers. We'll have 4 kids in this class, ranging from 930 pounds
Class
for the
3
lightest
steers,
steer
please make your way
to 1,090 pounds for our heaviest steer. Should be here shortly. We'll call these kiddos out and some weights, get you acquainted with this class.
Welcome to Fredonia Peanut Company, located just north of Mason on 386. Come out and see us. We have blinds, feeders, bulk and bag feed, corn and food. Talk to us about delivery. We also specialize in fertilizer, herbicides, and custom application. Give us a call on 325-429-6211. That number again, 325-429-6211. Fredonia Peanut Company. Let the best in the business work for you.
So for these AOB steers, we'll have two classes again. We'll have our lighter and our heavier. Of course, we'll bring back the two first place and do the champion for the breed, or for the for the breed. And then we will pull in our British and our AOB champions, show them off a little bit, let Judge take a look at them, and then we will make that decision tomorrow at 6 o'clock on the square. So we look forward to having you back on Facebook or YouTube or joining us at the fair. On the square, to finish our fair for our 100-year celebration, where we'll have Brandon Morgan out again, and he will be calling out all of our grand champions on the square between Crockett's and the courthouse. Again, we will be there at 4 o'clock if you can make it a little early. We'll do like a little happy hour and hors d'oeuvres there at Crockett's. Come hang out and
exhibitors coming in with our
treats.
first class of AOB steers. Davis Johnson with a steer weighing 930 pounds. Laney Johnson with a steer weighing 1,025 pounds. Della Osborne with a market steer weighing 1,070 pounds. And Torrin Tenney with a steer weighing 1,090 pounds. I might remind some of you that after we have completed the steer show this afternoon, 30 minutes after we complete the steer show, we'll have the fastest torch contest outside. They'll have it outside. Hope we get there before dark, but we'll make it.
All right, you're seeing these guys come in. Della Osborne's down there with that all-black calf. Next to Della, we've got Davis Johnson. And then we've got Miss Torrin Tenney, lined up next. And last but not least, we've got Laney Johnson lined up here. Let's take a look and see what Mr. Morgan thinks about these calves. We've got some good help here around the booth. And loving on our equipment.
While these are exhibitors out there, I've been asked to remind the exhibitors you need to make sure that you go back by the backdrop and have the picture taken with your animal. Make sure you have a picture taken with your animal and that you also fill out a sales slip before you leave tonight if these are the last animals you'll be showing today.
Okay, right here.
Mr. Morgan's taking his time and examining this class just as for reference. This class of steers, I think we were at, 160 pounds difference between these 4 steers. So he's got a pretty tight little class here. Some good looking steers. He's taking his time, going to evaluate some just different characteristics and put them in order. He will again start pulling them from 4th place to 1st place. And so we'll see how he lines this group up.
I'll be the first one to tell you, if this was a livestock judging contest, this class would be cut 1-1-1. I think that there is lots of different ways that you can place these 4. If you come out here and you want to argue and justify several things, you could do that and you wouldn't bother me a bit. I think that there's good in all these calves, and I think that there's things that we can change about each one of them. I'll tell you what I see and how I justify what I did, and if you have your own opinion, I don't blame you for that, because I think it's a very tough class. I think that they're all very different in the way they fit together. The one that I chose to lead off with, he maybe not have any of the EST words that you should lead off with. He may not be the thickest, he may not be the widest, he may not be the best balance, but I think the one thing that he is, I think he's the most complete. I think when you talk about one that's feet and legs where they need to be in terms of setting an angle to his shoulder and his knee, I think he's there. I think he's the one that's the most functional set to his hock and hind leg. He's got plenty of shape up high. I like the roundness to the center of his body. Is he the heaviest structured? Is he one that is he the most flashy? No, but I think he's the one that offers the most meat and potatoes of the bunch. I think that's the one I choose to lead off off with. The smoky steer that's going to be next. I had this one arranged in several different spots, and he was kind of trouble for me because there's times you look at him and you think, man, that one squares up good. I think he's good in his top line. He's good out of his hip. That steer's got some bone and some foot underneath him. Then at times you look at him and I'd like to open him up through his chest, maybe give him more forerib, maybe give him a shot more muscle down low. I think where he slides into that spot is from a structural standpoint. I think he's comfortable off both ends of his skeleton. He's one to me that's still made right in terms of his squareness and his balance. A nice one to go in second. The steer that's going to be in third. One that you appreciate for being extra long-bodied, one that's big-footed, he's heavy bone. That steer's round to the center of his skeleton. When I set that steer in motion, he's just too straight in his hock. He's not comfortable enough when he goes in stride, and then that's where I'd like to change him from that standpoint. From there forward, I think there's some good things about him. He may be not as open to his forerib in relation to the rest of his body, but I'd like to change him out of his hip and hind leg. The steer that probably causes as much as any problem is the one that comes in fourth. That's the biggest, top, thickest ended one of the bunch, no doubt about it. He's round to the center of his skeleton. That one just labors too much for me off of both ends. I'd like to coordinate him on his hock and his hind leg, set him down just a notch truer. Very, very tough class from top to bottom. Congratulations to these exhibitors.
Placings in our first class of AOB steers. Fourth place exhibited by Torrin Tinning. Third place steer exhibited by Laney Johnson. Second place, red ribbon winner goes to Davis Johnson. And class winner, blue ribbon winner, exhibited by Della Osborne.
All right, next we have our heavyweights, AOBs. So we've got 3 steers in this class. Again, pretty tight class. We've got everything from 1,125 pounds to 1,265 pounds. We'll get these guys in here, call these kids out in the weights, and get started. All right, first out of the gate is going to be for Jarrett Worrell. Looks like this calf is 1,125 pounds. Next, we got Slayton Nauman at 1,225 pounds, followed by Jarrett Worrell's second steer that he is showing at 1,265 pounds. Let's see what Brandon Morgan thinks about this group. And then once we get the first place out of here, they'll come back against Della Osborne from the last class, and we will get our champion for AOB.
While our judge is evaluating this class, and then we will go ahead and pick our champion over AOB here. I would like to remind everybody, don't make a big fast run on the concession stand. You know, they're got a lot of food over there. It takes time. They'd like to sell out today, but if you're hungry, you need anything to eat, go ahead and make a run on the concession stand.
No, we're gonna have to run out there to get it. It's on the trailer. Keep your band run. We'll do that here in a little bit. Doctrine and one other Supreme Court decision said that they could not regulate. It had to be a law. Congress never passed a law, so you had to be a But the only reason it's still there is because all the damn mechanics make so much money fixing it. I'm getting trying to.
Really good class of steers here as we end up in our heavy exotic class, and certainly three of them that offer a tremendous amount of quality. And when I start looking at them and breaking them apart, I'll be the first to tell you, it doesn't bother me that we have one out here that's not clipped. I come from a county that in my community, we take steer showing, there's some people that take steer showing pretty seriously. So when we go to our local and our county, they come in their working clothes. So I understand that, and I know where you're coming from. But the young man steer that leads off, that one to me, just from a standpoint of his fundamental basics, is what you really have to appreciate. When that one goes in motion, he's very sound. He sets this track every time. That steer, when you get on top of him, that one's got a great big top and hip in him. He squares up good on the top side of his hip. He's got a great posture and curvature to his hind leg where you like it. His steer's still made really good up to his front end, and his shoulders neat in him. Just a really nice kind of practical market steer to lead off our class. As we said, here's one that's in his working clothes, and that one's, you can tell, you get in there, there's a lot of calf. He's big-bodied, he's stout, he's wide, there's his muscle in there underneath him. I don't know if he's just made any better to his shoulder, he's just extended up to his neck and to his front end. As we say, our class-winning steer, but that steer looks to me like he's sound and he's looking big-footed and heavy bone. Anxious to see that one as he gets clipped down, but he's a lot of nice calf there. Young lady steer that's going to be third. Here's another one that you appreciate in terms of just his market readiness. That's a steer that looks to be practical in terms of his feedability, his body shape, the correctness and the curvature to the center of his skeleton. That one still squares up good in terms of muscle shape. I think of these three though, he's the one that labors the most out of his hip and hind leg. He wants to straighten up his hop, just not be as flexible as he goes. But we're three really good calves. Congratulations to all three of these young exhibitors.
Placing in our second class AOB steer. Third place exhibited by Jarrett Worrell. Second place animal also exhibited and owned by Jarrett Worrell. The class winner belongs to Slayton Nauman.
All right, so we've got Slayton. He's going to walk out and walk back in. So Slayton Nauman and Slayton Nauman and Della Osborne are going to come back in for our AOB champion drive. Should be just a second here. We'll get them in the ring. Again, as you see on the screen, join us Friday for the buyer's reception at 4 o'clock, and our auction will be at 6 o'clock on Friday. So this is where the rubber meets the road. We get you guys out here, and we show these kids that we support them by helping them pay these kids back. These projects aren't inexpensive. These kids have a lot of fun. They work really hard, and we just want to show them how much we appreciate them. And that's going to be Friday here at the sale barn at 6 o'clock, or at the arena at 6 o'clock. Going back to our timeline real quick, we've got sheep tomorrow at 10 o'clock, followed by goats. And then our grand champion drive on the square at 6 o'clock. And then tomorrow, we've got our ag mechanics show at 9 o'clock a.m., followed by our buyer's reception and general store at 4. And then our premium sale Friday at 6 o'clock. All right, here comes Miss Della.
Exhibitors coming in the ring now.
She's got the first place lightweight AOB steer weighing 1,070 pounds against Jarrett Worrell's first place. No, I'm sorry. I got you wrong again. Slayton Nauman at 1,225 pounds. So Della Osborne at 1,070, Slayton at 1,225.
Second place exhibited by Jarrett Worrell.
Here in our exotic show, selecting a champion in reserve, we bring 4 individuals back, and they're very differing in kind. Talked about in our first class. I thought that was a very challenging class, just in terms of lining up and not taking nothing away from the quality there. They were just really 4 individuals that very differing in type, and we bring this one lightweight back out here, and we talked about him, just one that's very good in terms of his basic build. He's round through his skeleton. He's got some shape of muscle up high. Maybe could be stouter featured, maybe one that I think, but he's very practical in his own right. The one that wins our last class, kind of the same thing, but I think that one comes in a very balanced package. I think when you study that steer, the way he's made through his front end and his shoulders laid in him, really good. His top line's good, squares up really neat out of his hip. But when you get on top of that one's really opened up with a lot of shape. He's natural just in terms of his freshness, the roundness to the center of his skeleton, and yet he's very functional. You like the set to his hind leg. I think a steer that offers a lot of good. The seconds, we talked about them in class, and then we come back and bring them back out here. I think that there's 2 that surface for me. They're a little different in terms of their build and the way that they're made, but I think they're the 2 that sort out. I'm going to keep the 2 out of our last class together. Young man here is going to be champion. Young man on the far end reserve. Congratulations to those.
Champion AOB steer exhibited by Slayton Nauman. Reserve champion exhibited by Jarrett Worrell. As we did earlier today in our market swine show and in our heifer show, we're going to be bringing back our market steers that are your breed champions, and we'll be evaluating your champions and reserves for the placings in the final drive tomorrow afternoon on the courthouse, next to the courthouse, between the courthouse and the commercial bank. After this, we will have our showmanship for our cattle.
Hi, I'm Michael Zavala, here with Backwoods Barbecue. Born and raised over in Mason, Texas, but we've moved over here to start this business. We had our kids participate in stock show. They started off with pigs, went into steers. The show in Mason as a whole, I think, is wonderful. It's a great experience for the kids. Teaches them a lot of basic skills, in my opinion, of learning to take care of things and, you know, feed, water every day. It's twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day, whatever is required. But, you know, I feel like it puts something that's missing in a lot of our kids nowadays, a responsibility that they're, you know, something that to be responsible for, and it teaches them something as they become adults of caring for things. We love supporting because the Mason County Stock Show was wonderful to our kids. And so our way of giving back is we donate, you know, either a meal or whatever. We try to help in any way we can because I think it's a great thing for kids to be a part of growing up. And, you know, it helps them out educationally wise. We hope that they can at least get something out that they can move forward with.
Whatever it is you wrangle, whatever seeds you sow, no matter what you nurture or what you choose to grow, at Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, we're proud to protect all Texans.
So we've got our British and AOB steers in here. Our first, of course, by Della Osborne here and Slayton Nauman, followed by our reserves, Sophie Allschwede and Jarrett Worrell. We are not going to be picking anything here today.
Junior cattle showmanship,
tomorrow.
grades K through 3. Please
So
report to
make
the
sure
whole
that you
year.
tune in tomorrow.
Junior cattle
We will be
showmanship,
on the
grades
square
K
for the
through
grand
3.
drive. So all the steers, heifers, pigs, sheep, and goats will be selected on the square tomorrow. But he is making his decisions here. Getting to see these calves as they're fully put together. We'll make some decisions and bring them up to the square tomorrow. Again, there will not be a decision here made So it's a little bit different than we're used to, but we're celebrating on the square tomorrow for our 100-year anniversary at 6 o'clock.
Well, as we end up the day, I certainly been an honor and a privilege to be here, and I really look forward to tomorrow. It's been great. The livestock has been exceptional, but more importantly than that, the kids that I've had the opportunity to work with have been top notch, and so I appreciate that. And what we've had out here today, congratulations. Let's show all these exhibitors, not just the ones in the ring, but everybody that showed today. Let's give them a round of applause for a job well done. I know what it takes I have kids of my own and then students, and I know what it takes to put on and feed these projects and the magnitude that it takes of time and money and investment. And so I appreciate that for you guys instilling your faith in these kids, because they are our future. And so my compliments to you. I've been really enjoyed it. I knew that coming down here it would be top notch in Mason County with the livestock, but the way these kids have worked and the show has been ran, it's absolutely been superb. So I really appreciate it. We'll go through and we'll see these guys tomorrow night. Wish you all the best of luck. Congratulations.
We really appreciate you guys being here with us and watching this. So we do have showmanship coming up after this. I've got a really good little co-host here. What's your name?
Blakely.
Eckert. All right. And Blakely, how old are you?
6.
6. And what did you do this morning that was fun?
Showing.
What did you show?
A pig.
How many pigs have you shown in your lifetime?
1.
What? And what place did you get on your first year showing pigs? Do you remember what place you got?
First.
First place? On your first year?
Yes.
Good job. Did you have any fun?
Yes.
Good. What was your favorite part about raising pigs?
Showing it.
Showing it? This was your favorite part so far? Good. And did you do any shows before you did today?
No.
Well, you did a good job. So you just walked in here and knocked it out of the park, right?
Yes.
Good job. And then what are you doing here hanging out with all your friends? Like, what's going on being around here today?
Just playing.
Playing? Are there a lot of kids up here?
Yes.
Good. So we are up here at the fairgrounds. We've got a lot of babies up here hanging out. We've got a lot of first-timers, a lot of people that have been working really hard to get their projects up here. And we just wanted to tell you congratulations and introduce you and tell them thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching.
Good job. Very good job. All right. So say bye.
Bye.
All right. Now Kyle's going to put our schedule up. We've got a few more things going on. We've got our cattle showmanship. So we're going to bring our kiddos back in. They're going to show us how good they can show. Again, this is not based on the kiddos, or this is not based on the projects. This is based on the kiddos and how hard they've worked and how good they can make these projects look. So we'll be bringing them in here in a minute, and they'll be doing showmanship. And then 30 minutes after we're done with showmanship, we're going to have the fastest torch contest. So we'd love to see you guys out here to watch that. Super fun time. Don't believe we're going to be able to air that one live, but it's fun to watch these guys compete outside, kiddos and adults alike. So we would like to also, Stock Show Secrets does something every year for us, and they're a big contributor when it comes to our showmanship. He believes in what these kids do and working hard, and Stock Show Secrets always does our showmanship buckles. They do our champion junior cattle showmanship, intermediate cattle showmanship, and senior cattle showmanship, and our overall. So these guys are here for us every year. All right, so now we are coming in for our junior showmanship. Am I right, Kyle? Been staring at my paperwork here. Looks like we've got a young pilgrim friend here, Miss Landry Pilgrim, followed by Davidson. Coming in right here third is Mr. Scarpinato. With this black and white face calf is Miss Herster. And so again, this has nothing to do with animals. We're just looking at how good these kiddos are showing. We might have a few more coming in here, working on getting these calves back up to the ring. Again, these calves have worked hard today. Some of them think they are done, so pulling them back in does get them a little excited. But let's take a look and see what these calves can do in showmanship. As you can tell, we got our little helper up here. Enjoying the calf show, or the showmanship.
First call for intermediate cattle showmanship, grades 4 through 8. Intermediate cattle showmanship, grades 4 through 8.
Again, we've got these kids broken down into juniors. So we've got the youngest to oldest, junior, intermediate, and senior division. Kyle found me some info here. So it looks like our junior group is our kindergarten through 3rd grade. So in the ring, you do have some younger kiddos here. It's our
well, let's give this
junior
group of
showmanship.
youngsters a round of applause. The quality is deep and they're doing exceptional. For me, I think there's two that rise to the top. It's the two up here. They do a great job in terms of getting their head up, neck up, their feet are set. I think when it came down to it, the young lady in the pink was just a little bit faster in terms of getting her heifer set. She's gonna win. Great job, give them a round of applause.
Good job, Miss Pilgrim. All right, we've got Landry Pilgrim again, taking our junior cattle showmanship. And again, thank you, Stock Show Secrets, for showing up and helping these kids every year by supporting these kiddos on their awards. We are going to now move on to intermediate. Take just a second to get these kiddos in, and it's going to be 4th grade through 8th grade. Our intermediate cattle showmanship.
Hi, we're Kenny and Shirley from McLean Ford. We have been supporting kids in the community for over 30 years now. We've been blessed to be able to do that. We had children that were involved in different aspects as they grew up, and so we have truly made it a point that the funds that we're able to support with go to the kids.
Most all of our donations that we do are all towards youth. A few other aspects of youth, not just stock shows, but mainly that. We think that that area teaches kids a lot of good work ethic. They learn right from wrong, what works, what doesn't work, and so when they grow up, maybe they will take part of that with them. And we think that's very important. And if our funds can go a little ways to help ease the cost of some of that, then so be it. And that's a wonderful thing because, you know, kids are everything to us. So we just think that's the best way to put it.
I was raised in San Saba.
It's going to take just a little bit longer to get these guys lined out. But again, the judge is going to be looking at how these young men and women work with their livestock, how much they've been practicing.
First call for senior cattle showmanship, grades 9 through 12, senior cattle showmanship.
As you look at these kiddos make their loop, we've got Mr. Price coming out first, standing closest to Mr. Geiswhite, Hunter Geiswhite. Then we're followed by Mr. Barros, and then again Mr. Price. Got two good-looking Davidson kids coming in behind him, followed by Davis Johnson, Sister Laney Johnson. We've got Della Osborne, Keegan Potter, and that is everybody I see here in the room. Got a good group of 4th through 8th grade showmanship kiddos. Take us just a little bit to sort this one out. They're a little bit larger group. And then we'll move on to our seniors.
what do they class, what good that these kids are doing. What we're going to do is we're going to keep the four that I think stand out the best in this prelim, and then dismiss the other kids who did a great job. So then those four can do what they do best and have space and get their cattle set up. So staying back, young man in the cowboy hat, young man up here with the black heifer, the two girls right here, they'll be staying. Everyone else can be dismissed. You guys did a great job. Give them a round of applause. Girls, just loop in and we'll just start over. But
All right, so she's taking the time to get this class down to 4 of her strongest showmen this year. And again, in our 4 to 8 age range group, we've got Mr. Price, Mr. Barros, Miss Johnson, and Miss Osborne. We're going to take a minute, do your same routine, see how these kids react to different situations, and how practiced they are and how they can make these animals work for the judge. While we watch, we want to take some time to say again thank you for Stock Show Secrets for supporting the awards for these kiddos every year for every species for showmanship.
Who is? Ohio State over at Oregon. Same, all the way around.
Let's give these kids a round of applause. I think it's close. I think there's, some things that each of them do good and the other might not. I'll just kind of walk you through where I stand. I think the young lady on the end has done a great job in terms of eye contact. That steer's head and neck is up. She is consistent. Her feet placement gets a little funny sometimes, but she's quick to get that steer set up. She does a really nice job. Young lady here in the second, she does a good job in terms of just holding on. She's a little girl who holds on to that calf and does a great job in terms of eye contact and intensity. It's the feet placement that gets a little off for me that I'd like to see her try to do a little bit better at. The young man with the black heifer, he is calm, he is cool. I don't think anything's gonna ruffle his feathers. He's just a little too slow. Young man here in the cowboy hat does a great job. Right out of the gate, good eye contact, calm and cool. I want you to be just a little bit quicker in terms of getting that heifer's feet set up. So it's splitting hairs. I'm gonna go with the young lady up front to win.
Congratulations, our junior showmanship winner, Laney Johnson.
All right, sorry guys, you can't hear it as well, but that is Miss Laney Johnson. And we are going to be moving on here to our 9th grade through seniors. So we're going to start working them towards the ring. And a reminder that once the seniors show, then we do overall. But then once the overall showmanship is done, 30 minutes from now, then we will be having a fastest torch contest outside. Come see us. And then come see us again tomorrow at 10 o'clock for the Sheep and Goat Show. We look forward to seeing you guys out here, or we'll have it again on Facebook and YouTube. If you can put up with my good facts here and fun commentary, we can show you the show again tomorrow.
We need more quality interviews.
We need some more babies up here too. Send some kiddos up for some good interviews. But we are moving on to our senior cattle showmanship. All right, here's a good reminder. Tomorrow at 4 o'clock, we are going to have our buyer's reception and general store. So we look forward to having y'all around here. Some kids will be here. We'll have some things for sale in the room. They'll have cookies and cakes and treats and goods for sale. Come see us tomorrow at 4 o'clock and hang out with us. And then we hope to see you all here at 6 o'clock. We need you here for the auction. Come show these kids how much you care about them and support them by doing what's important and actually putting some money in their funds in their pocketbook. So, all right, we've got Miss Torrentini. She looks like she is the only one. Our gate is shut. Let's see how Miss Torrin does, and then we will get her in with all these other kiddos for our overall here shortly. Again, Miss Torrentini, Senior Division Cattle Showman.
Well, and I'm going to get this class right, so that's a sigh of relief. Young lady does a good job. Her steer's acting up. Look forward to getting her back in the grand drive.
Senior showmanship winner, Torrentini.
right, guys, so now we're back with our overall showmanship. Got Torrentini in our senior division. We've got Laney Johnson, intermediate. And we are have Miss Pilgrim spinning around there on the end. All right, so Landry's going to be doing our leading here. We'll see what the judge has to say about our showmanship group.
Maybe I want to say before you finish out there, let's give Raylan a hand for working with our kids today. We appreciate it very much.
Good group of girls out here for overall showman. I'm going to keep it sweet and short. Young lady in the orange is going to win.
And your champion overall showman goes to Laney Johnson. Don't forget, we need pictures, kids.
Guys, we thank you for hanging out with us. We look forward to seeing you again tomorrow at 10 o'clock here at the barn. Tune in, or we hope to see you here. And then we are going to do in 30 minutes fastest torch. So if you want to come on up, or if you're headed this way, we'll see you here shortly. Y'all have a great night, and thank you for joining us on our 100 years of the Mason County Livestock Show.
Hi, we're Kenny and Shirley from McLean Ford. We have been supporting kids in the community for over 30 years now. We've been blessed to be able to do that. We had children that were involved in different aspects as they grew up, and so we have truly made it a point that the funds that we're able to support with go to the kids.
Most all of our donations that we do are all towards youth. A few other aspects of youth, not just stock shows, but mainly that. We think that that area teaches kids a lot of good work ethic. They learn right from wrong, what works, what doesn't work, and so when they grow up, maybe they will take part of that with them. And we think that's very important. And if our funds can go a little ways to help ease the cost of some of that, then so be it. And that's a wonderful thing because, you know, kids are everything to us. So we just think that's the best way to put it.
I was raised in Sensata and had a lot of friends from Mason growing up, being neighboring towns, and still a lot of friends that are grown up, and their children now are showing, and their children now are involved in several aspects. And so it's just, we just love Mason County. There's just something about the people that reminds us of home, and so it's become one of our points that we really try to support.
The people at Mason really make it easy to do our best, and we can take care of those over there because they come through. They're nice people. They're just so welcoming. They're warm. They're like us. You know, they are like us. We want, you want to be with people that you know and trust and like, and that's those people. So we really love it over in Mason County.
And since we bought the store a little over 5 years ago, they've been very supportive of us.
They have.
Hi, my name is Hunter Bradley, and I've been involved in the Mason Stock Show since I was about 7 years old. My favorite part about the stock show is the actual sale and getting to see all the members of the community come out and help us and pay for our future. Also, in doing all this with the stock show, it's led me to my career path in animal science, and I'll see you at the stock show.
Hi, my name is Kimbria. I've been showing since I was 7 years old. I show sheep, and I love that the community comes out and supports us in what we love doing. My dad showed pigs growing up. See you at the Mason Stock Show.
Hi, my name is Regan Evans. I've been showing pigs at the Mason County Livestock Show since I was 7 years old. My favorite part about stock show is the memories that you get to make with all your friends and the experiences you have. See you at the stock show.
My name is Walker Ince. I'm a senior in high school. I've been showing in the Mason County Livestock Show since I was about 5 years old. I've been showing goats. My favorite experience I've had with the livestock show is in about 2nd grade when I was allowed to steal my brother's goat and get reserve in the class. I've been showing goats for most of my life and throughout my brother's life, so I was able to start young, and it was my uncle that brought us into showing. He got us into showing goats, lambs, and chickens, which we went and showed at some of the major shows with. See you at the Mason County Stock Show.
Hello, my name is Emma McCrae. I started off showing pigs when I was about 7 years old. Then I switched to goats in 5th grade, and I have also since then been involved in AgMet contests and the food show. I've really enjoyed all these experiences and have gained a lot of knowledge from all of this. This has really helped and prepared me for college. I'll be going next fall to A&M under Forensic and Investigative Sciences major. See you at the stock show.
Hi, I'm Carlton Schmidt. I've been showing goats in the Mason County Livestock Show since I was 7 years old. One of my favorite things about showing is getting to see all the hard work that we do with the goats pay off in all the shows, and getting to go to all the shows with my friends and get that experience. I plan to go to Texas A&M University and major in agricultural economics and kind of follow through with my agricultural background and family history, and hope to see how that can help me in the future. See you at the Mason Stock Show.